Resident Evil Requiem is undoubtedly the hottest thing on the block for early releases next year in 2026. But what comes after for the series? Well, obviously more mainline titles and remakes, right? While nothing beyond Resident Evil 9 has been confirmed by Capcom, we do have a lot of rumors and leaks suggesting the next couple of Resident Evil remakes are not too far off on the horizon. We've gone over what many of these upcoming remakes are likely to be in my video covering what I believe to be the second Resident Evil remake trilogy, linked in the description and at the end of this video. But here, we've got some pretty interesting new rumors and leaks that suggest some bold new aspects coming to one of the most requested remakes, along with a timeline as to when we can expect them. Let's confirm the obvious. Absolutely none of this information from these leaks and rumors have been confirmed as being true by Capcom. So take all of this as the complete speculation that it so clearly is. I'm just relaying what has been going on in the realm of Resident Evil leaks and rumors. So if you're cool with entertaining some of this unconfirmed info, you are in the right place. And yes, this is coming from the very hit or miss Dusk Golem, known for his very rocky track record over the years. So yeah, if you're not interested in hearing what he's leaking about these heavily rumored remakes, then don't waste your time and click off this video. I mean, I get it, these rumors and leaks aren't for everyone. That said, we have around half a year to wait for the next Resident Evil, but we won't have to wait much longer for this year's hottest survival horror game and next month's Silent Hill F, so participate in my giveaway of that title if you're interested, and close out the summer of 2025 with the new refreshing canned energy drinks by Supps by using my affiliate link provided in the description. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Alright, Capcom confirmed back in late 2023 that more remakes are indeed on the way, but with Resident Evil Requiem the main focus for Capcom, all we can really go on are leaks and rumors, and that brings us to none other than Dusk Golem, who claimed in spring last year in 2024 that Capcom was hard at work on 2 remakes, Resident Evil 0 Remake and Resident Evil Code Veronica Remake. Let's get into the latest hitting Resident Evil 0 Remake first. Insider Dusk Golem a few days ago claimed that Resident Evil 0 Remake recently got delayed, citing some form of development reboot that occurred late last year in 2024. Even with the claim that the game was internally delayed, on August 12th, Dusk maintained that either Resident Evil 0 or Code Veronica remakes could release in 2027, with the other releasing the following year in 2028. And that's about it regarding Resident Evil 0 Remake leaks and rumors, other than Dusk's claim in 2024 that both K2 and M2 were developing the remake, of which both teams were responsible for Resident Evil 4 Remake's Separate Ways DLC. Now, on to the latest as for what is largely considered to be the most requested remake, Resident Evil Code Veronica Remake. We recently got some pretty substantial information from Dusk Golem that hints at some big deviations over the original Code Veronica release. Before we get to these gameplay and story embellishments, Dusk reported that development on the Code Veronica remake is going exceptionally well. So well, in fact, that this remake is apparently ahead of Capcom's internal schedule, remarking that the team behind the Code Veronica remake is very confident in the work that they are making. Speaking of the development team, Capcom Dev 1 is supposedly in charge of the remake, the same team that worked on Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake, with both Yasuhiro Anpo and Kazunori Kadoi being the leads on the project. If true, this project definitely seems to be in good hands here. Now, as for when we may get a reveal for this game, Dusk mentioned that it would be very likely that the game gets announced sometime next year in 2026 as part of Resident Evil's 30th anniversary celebration, alongside Resident Evil Requiem. Seeing as Resident Evil 9 is slated to release quite early into 2026, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another game reveal later into the year to further the hype train of the franchise. We've got the next mainline RE title in Resident Evil 9 coming out in early 2026, with a movie releasing in September 2026. So I wouldn't be surprised if Capcom continues the hype with a game announcement, but again, we'll just have to see. Alright, now onto the story and gameplay tweaks. In a recent post, Dusk reported that instead of a cutscene playing out depicting Albert Wesker's fight with Chris Redfield, that the remake will instead have Chris face off against Wesker in a boss fight. Perhaps this will play out in a similar manner to Leon's knife battle with Jack Krauser in Resident Evil 4 Remake over the original QTE heavy cutscenes. While the fight scene with Wesker is said to be playable here in Code Veronica Remake, Dusk did mention that Chris no longer fights Alexia here, which implies that this fight is seemingly going to be absent from the game, or perhaps was replaced with Wesker's boss fight. Because Alexia is a big figure here in Code Veronica, I wouldn't be surprised if this fight was relegated to another character duking it out with Alexia, since this would be a pretty crazy cut if the fight ends up not showing up at all. Now, speaking of Wesker, Dusk claims that he will play a much larger role in the Code Veronica remake, due in large part to the HCF, standing for Hive or Host Capture Force, which will serve as a main plot point in the remake. Apparently, we're going to be getting a better idea of this highly trained group of soldiers led by Albert Wesker here in this remake, which, I mean, is pretty exciting should any of this actually be true. The setting up of Wesker is essential should Capcom eventually greenlight a Resident Evil 5 remake, so more exposition surrounding Wesker and the HCF will do wonders in properly setting up the character for an inevitable RE5 remake in the future. Alright, so this remake is claiming to showcase more of Wesker here, but Dusk also claims that Steve Burnside is also slated to get a personality overhaul. Now, Steve Burnside is, well, easily one of the quirkiest characters Capcom's ever written, and according to Dusk's post, Steve Burnside is going to be a bit more palatable here and less cringy at times, while still keeping some of his quirky traits intact. Now, moving on to something more structurally interesting with the Code Veronica remake, Dusk makes the claim that Rockfort Island will become a semi-open world area, adding greater exploration and freedom to this eerie setting. This change could make traversing this island a bit more immersive and potentially less linear than before, so I'm really curious to see if this type of direction will come out to be true in the remake, seeing as the original is a very focused and highly linear experience. Color me interested, but at the end of the day, remember, good people, that all of this is 100% unconfirmed hearsay that should never be treated as fact until we see it for ourselves with our own eyes. Dusk has proven to be both relatively reliable while also getting quite a bit of things completely wrong, so drill this into your head before you get too hyped about Code Veronica Remake. Now, what about other Resident Evil remakes, you ask? Well, the only recent information we have is, again, from Dusk Golem, that there is no Resident Evil 5 remake in development at the moment, and with Dusk also months ago claiming that the much-rumored Resident Evil 1 remake is not in development as far as he knew, only 2 remakes exist when it concerns this particular leaker: Resident Evil 0 Remake and Resident Evil Code Veronica Remake. That doesn't mean that other remakes aren't in development, because at the end of the day, we will never know until Capcom themselves officially reveals them. With that said, let me know in the comments what you think about these latest rumors from Dusk Golem, and if you'd be happy with any of these embellishments hitting Code Veronica in this potential remake. Got nothing else for ya? Come join me over here in this video if you'd like to get up to date on every single thing that we know about Resident Evil Requiem, and I look forward to seeing you all real soon in the next one.